all the work that I've done in my local association, I felt like set me up to move into another career. I knew I wanted to be able to do that on a statewide level. I've been a member of Tmpa since I started my career. I just know that Tmpa is the best, and I wanted to be part of that.
Welcome back, Blue Grit watchers, viewers, listeners. I'm your host, Tyler Owen.
And Clinton McNear.
What's going on, man?
I'm here.
You came in last night.
I got in late last night. I'm a little too old, I realized, to drive in late somewhere, but I did.
What time did you get in?
About 10:45.
Oh, wow, that is late.
That's about an hour and 45 minutes past my
That
bedtime.
is way late for you. But you and, I don't know if, can we talk about it? What you did last night?
Yeah.
You and Tony Godwin, 2 years ago, was the National Hall of Fame award winner, I guess, and also Catfish Cops host and your longtime best friend. Y'all were on a film or a documentary.
Yep, shooting a pilot for a show on A&E called Catfish Cops. We'll see where it goes. Tony's done a lot of good stuff, and I'm proud to see him get highlighted. Some of his work get highlighted. We'll see where the pilot goes. It's interesting stuff.
Yeah, what he does for a living, if you want to explain, he's the CAC guy for Garland, but does it statewide, nationwide?
Yeah, he's crimes against children, internet crimes against children detective. He's bigger than all three of us, but he sits on the computer all day acting like a hot 13-year-old little girl
And
to lure
it's funny as hell,
sicko cowards to his city, to take them into custody and put them in prison where they belong. And he's been doing it forever. He's recognized as a federal and state expert. Travels literally around the world teaching some other countries on how to do ICAC work, and he's a good dude. I'm proud to know him.
And recently just got appointed to be on the National Hall of Fame Board of Trustees. So congratulations to Tony Godwin, Catfish Cops.
Tone Loke.
Yeah. So
Nice.
How are you?
Good, man. I had to pull the Jeep top was off today, so Austin's experiencing some weather situations going on, and I wanted to ask this question today. So it amazes me living down here. Not that we didn't have the problem in East Texas. I'm not saying that, but living down here, having the Jeep top off and the doors off, you begin to be exposed to a lot of odors. Okay. Lots.
There's odors in Austin. I'm shocked.
Well,
to hear
not
this.
just Austin, but just in central Texas. Okay? So I'm driving along, and I'm still at 60 miles an hour. Okay, I could smell weed bad, and so I had a friend. Well, not a friend. He was my first FTO by the name of Travis Red. I guarantee you, there's case law on Travis Red, and he is the kind of guy to give you kind of an explanation. He's the guy at any department that types in all caps, and he's the grouchy old man but he knows how to be police. I mean, you would not want this guy writing a homicide narrative, but he would be going out there and knocking heads. And he would stop people all the time because his windows were rolled down. Why'd you stop me? I smelled marijuana coming out of this car. So I was asking today, I was thinking I was going to ask you this. I was driving down the road, and I smelled it coming out, and I knew it was just one car in front of me. How would that look on a PC stop? You think that'd be legit?
Now that you can smell it in your Jeep?
Yeah.
If I pull your Jeep over?
No. I'm saying if you think if a cop smelled a car going on, how legit?
I don't know that smelling marijuana is PC in Austin anymore. I'm not sure in the Democratic People's Republic of Austin.
Yeah, I was just wondering. I was like, man, I wonder if this would be good PC stuff. So anyway, fun times. But today's show is about a colleague that was a part-time field rep, now a full-time training coordinator for Tmpa. Great guy. Good friend, and I am super excited to see where you're going to take our training division and where it goes from here. Former Mo City Sergeant.
Retired.
Excuse me, I'm
Mo
sorry.
City Sergeant.
Mo
Yes,
City
sir.
Sergeant. Jay McClellan. Welcome to the Blue Grit stage,
I
man.
appreciate y'all having me. Appreciate it.
We recently learned that Jay's got a bar in Washington, D.C., McClellan's.
That's right.
I do.
That's awesome.
He didn't even know he had it.
Yeah. You get any
Tried to
problems
drink
with
for
it?
free. They wouldn't let me.
Well, I think you're part of the me and Curtis Billings club as far as the drinking. I don't think Clint's not. He hadn't graduated at that point yet. But no, man, welcome to Blue Grit.
I appreciate it. Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, we wanted to bring you on today and talk about what all is going on with the training and
Yep.
talk about we're excited about how the training division is going since you've taken it over and kind of what the new plans are.
Yes.
Start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Who the hell's Jay? Where'd
Sorry,
you
I'm
grow
so
up?
excited
How'd you get
about
into
it.
law
Yeah.
enforcement?
Yeah, so I was born in the Panhandle up in Borger, Texas. My family's oil people. So born in Borger.
Oil people. That's why he owns a bar.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
is it Borger or Borger?
Borger. I know it's not Anascotia or Anascotia.
I'm gonna have to make middle note.
But yeah, Borger, Texas.
Borger.
Yeah. So like I said, oil industry. So ended up in Odessa, Texas.
Beautiful metropolis.
Yeah, spent some time in Odessa during the boom there and the rise of the Panthers, and had season tickets to the Permian Panthers game in the 80s.
Wow.
My dad got those tickets from his secretary, who got them in a divorce decree. So that's big business up there.
For our non-Texas listeners,
Yeah.
if you've ever seen the show Friday Night
Yes.
Lights, that's what Jay is referencing. Is football, oil, and football are about the two
Yeah, I think
the
you
two
can get-
things.
That's
out in
it.
That's about Texas as you can get right there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it up there. So, and then ultimately got transferred to Houston. So that's kind of where I grew up. Most of my childhood was in Houston. I live south of Houston in Pearland. Graduated from Pearland High. How I kind of got into law enforcement, just kind of like any other kid, not sure what you want to do with your life. Never had any family that was in law enforcement. Guy I grew up with, his brother-in-law was the chief deputy in Fort Bend County, and he was working in the jail. Said, "Hey man, come work in the jail, man. This is where it's at, dude. I sit here and we watch these guys all day, and I make
big money.
I make big money. I make like $23,000 a year.
Holy shit, that's a lot of money.
So like,
How old were you?
a kid, well, I actually started when I was 22. So I tried to do the college thing, realized, I don't know if this is really a fit. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Knew I wanted to make money and get on, with my life and have a career. Never really thought about law enforcement, but, sounded attractive, got hired on as a jailer, and really quickly learned that I am not trying to stay in jail. I was not interested in staying in the jail that long. I wanted to know how to get out of the jail as soon as I could. So put myself through the police academy. Got out of the academy, went to worked patrol at Fort Bend County.
How long did you work in the jail?
Worked there for almost a year in the jail, and then I put myself through the academy while I was in the jail. So working the evening shift and then going during the day. And then went to patrol. I worked patrol there for almost 2.5 years. And a friend of mine who worked at the sheriff's office with me, he had gone to Missouri City. And back in the day, there used to be a blues magazine that would come and have like these advertisements for police departments. And Missouri City was paying $42,000.
Doubling your money.
Doubling my money. So I called him, said, "Hey, I work the district, Missouri City district," and called him up, said, "Hey, meet me. I want to ask you some questions." Got down there, and really the only question I had was, "Is it true that y'all are making $42,000 a year?" And he said, "Yeah, just got a big raise." I said, "Okay, what do I got to do?" He said, "I'm going to put in a word for you." I said, "Man, I really appreciate it. What does that mean?" He's like, "Well, you won't have to come take the test. You just have to pass the physical, do the background, do the oral board. You just don't have to take the written test." Sign me up. So that was in 2007. So ultimately got hired in 2007 with Missouri City. Worked patrol, worked in administration, kind of led me to the training department. Was instrumental in writing the contract to become a contract training provider with T-Close at the time.
Which is so complex.
Yeah, it's a cumbersome task. Anybody that's watching this knows me that I'm definitely not scared of change. I felt like that, we needed change, that, we had so much talent inside that we could be teaching our own people. We just couldn't, give them the credit. So went to the chief. We had a really progressive chief. He came from out of state. He said, "Hey, this is what it takes to do this." And he's like, "Perfect, you can do it. Write it up." I was like, "Okay, that's." So yeah, sat down, figured out what I needed to do, went through the rules, figured out what was required, wrote the proposal, sent it up the chain, and ultimately became a contract training provider. So we're Missouri City is the only contract training provider in Fort Bend County. There is a police academy there, the Gus George Academy. So just felt like that was, important to be able to train people in the area. And then ultimately got promoted to sergeant. Went to patrol, worked patrol. I was assigned to the auto theft unit, wound up coming back. And the guy that ultimately got, that I met with from the sheriff's office, he was on the auto theft task force. And I got assigned to be on the task force as a sergeant.
Task force, yes, sir.
Yeah, well,
I didn't know you were a TFO.
Yeah, it was called the BAT team, the burglary auto theft team. Great group of guys. And like I said, the original guy that brought me to Missouri City, he was on there. He was a detective at the time. Unfortunately, he's been killed in the line of duty. Got killed back in May of 2020, friendly fire, actually. So, yeah, Caleb Rule. Shout out to Caleb Rule, man. I love that guy. I miss him. But he was instrumental in me coming to Missouri City and then ultimately getting to work with them directly and, undercover capacity. All those guys were great. Went back, worked in criminal investigations. So I had about 8 detectives assigned to me, and then my last stop again was back on the administrative side, being the training coordinator. So kind of full circle with Missouri City. Started on patrol and, was adamantly involved in admin, and then ultimately ended my career in the administration division. So that's kind of nuts and bolts of where I came from and how my law enforcement career.
What launched your passion and dedication for training? What was your, because I never really, teaching to me, Clint actually taught a class there in Tyler, taught ledge updates. And I saw the humor that he because, let's face it, back long ago, they didn't it was all about business and it was, straightforward. Mm-hmm. And so when I saw how Clint taught the ledge update and brought humor into it, I was like, man, that's pretty cool. And so I took that. We all learn something from everybody every single day. And so when I saw him teach that, there was another colleague that taught ledge updates that was very much similar to that, and so taking what I learned is kind of how what got my interest in it. But I wasn't solely devoted to training. So what prompted you to just be like, man, this is really important to me. This is the way I want to go.
Yeah, just seeing the need for training. Being able to provide the training in the area that you may not be getting. Ledge update, that's a rough class. If you can bring some sort of, humor or...
It's like watching paint dry.
Yeah, I teach basic instructor school, and like, hey, if you get assigned to teach this, you probably should work on your skills, because they're not asking you to teach something that's interesting, right? It's black and white, the law, right?
Yep.
What's been changed. So, just mainly, trying to... bring that training in, that, identifying those needs. We used to do what's called block training. So we would identify throughout the year issues that we felt like, our officers needed, and then we'd hone in on those. And then, it usually would culminate in some sort of force on force or decision-making deals, where, you take your skills you learn throughout the week, and then you apply those skills on Friday. So we literally set up like a, say a pursuit gone awry, where you have a foot chase and then a home invasion, and you have to work that scene just like you would a patrol officer, right? So, collecting the evidence and ultimately, writing the report, and the report will be the final grade. So just those things that kind of interest me, being able to impart the wisdom that I felt like I've, gotten over my career and the training that I had received, and being able to impart that on other officers was always important to me.
No law enforcement background, no family in law enforcement, so you didn't have a base kind of where you kicked off from. Looking back, or did you ever realize along the way, working in the jail is tough, it's challenging, but is there some tools working in a jail situation, the environment there, that you felt like helped set you up or helped you in your patrol and police career?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Working in that jail, you have to be, you have to know that they're playing that game on you. So They're going to try to play that game. You got to learn that game. Learning how to talk to people, depending on the jail setting and where you were assigned, there might be, 50 guys that you're responsible for. And they're all trying to game you. They're all trying to manipulate you. They're all trying to work something out in their advantage. So you take that with you on the streets. You see those, and a lot of times you run into those guys on the streets. And, you also learn how to treat people. It's very important to treat people right, regardless of, the situation they may be in. I can recall, I think it was a Christmas Eve or a Christmas Day, we had like a crash scene. And there was a gentleman walking up on the sidewalk as he coming towards the crash scene, and immediately I recognized him. He was a guy that I had dealt with in the jail, and he lent a hand. He's like, "Oh, I remember you. You used to work in the jail. Man, let me help you. I had to try to move this guardrail off the roadway or whatever so we could get traffic." And he come walking up, and he's like, "Yeah, I remember you." And they call me Jay Mac. Jay Mac, hey, let me help you. And so, yeah, I mean, that's a relationship you build. I was respectful to him, and I didn't treat him any different than anybody else. And you learn that'll get you a lot farther than, heavy hand or uses of force. I mean, you need to train for those things, but you're being able to speak to somebody goes a lot further, and you learn that skill in the jail.
Yeah, and a lot of times young folks get into working in the jail, and they don't have a lot of life experience, or they don't have there's just not a lot of experience. And, man, if you can't read a room, read the audience, read people, and start understanding, okay, these people are running a con on me to try and get something or to, slip some contraband by. If you don't have it, man, the jail's a great way because you're going to freaking learn it or get eaten up by it, one or the other, really quick.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, twice in my career, I was the field training supervisor, and we would hire guys that had no experience, like no life experience, homeschool kids, and you put them out there on a patrol car, and you send them to calls, and people with a lot more life, you come into contact with them, and unfortunately, I can think of a few guys that were unsuccessful in our FTO program, but we never discouraged them from law enforcement. And we would often contact the sheriff's office and say, "Look, hey, we got this guy, we hired him. He really wasn't ready for patrol." They're always hiring in the jail. So I can think of a couple of guys that got hired in Missouri City and ultimately ended up at Fort Bend in the jail and are successful patrol cops now.
Yeah, it's like throwing chum in a shark tank.
Yeah, for sure.
In the right situation.
Well, and during your stint at Mo City, at some point you became involved with their. Have they always been FOP, or did they transition over 2017, 2016-ish?
No. So early on, I was very involved in getting involved in a local association. I've always been the vocal type, but I also love the just the support, the camaraderie, the outside of the department. More of a sense of a family in the associations. So I got involved early on, and wanted to join the local association, and had a little bit of a strife joining. I'm sure some of y'all know the story, but I'm not going to get into that. But ultimately got onto the board as a member, and got on the board probably maybe a year or two after I started there, and just really got involved in wanting to better the department. The association, the Missouri City Police Officers Association, was founded in 1992 with the sole purpose of seeking civil service. Now, I started in 2007. We were at will. So that never got off the ground. It was attempted many a times, but I knew that ultimately I knew the benefits of civil service. I knew that it was important that, we needed to look at that. And then ultimately we had, a structure already set up for civil service. We had forward-thinking command staff members that were founding members of the association that set up policy that were mirroring civil service. So we never really had any issues. But then when those people started retiring off, and then you have new command staff from, we had a chief that came from out of state. So people start to think, oh man, well, am I missing an opportunity to get promoted? They're going to bring these people inside. That's when I say, hey, civil service is where we need to be. So, so I got involved early on. I've been since, 2008, I've been, on the board in some form or fashion.
Well, what struck me is that, and I don't mean to bring up bad times for me, because it was a very bad week. Looking back on it, it was the week of the infamous drone class, and so I reached out to Jay because he was in Pearland, and so I said, "Hey, brother, I'm headed down there. We had a good me, you, and your wife went out to dinner, but then you also told me," he said, "Hey, most cities POA was going to meet at some brewery. Yeah. How often does that happen?"
Yeah, so they do two events a year for just the membership, and that's during police week. Typically, so the way Missouri City's schedules work, at least on the patrol side, is you're either off a Saturday or you're off a Sunday. So you work kind of a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, every other Wednesday, or Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, every other Wednesday. So we schedule something on Saturday and something on Sunday during police week, and that's to celebrate the officers, right? Yeah. So several years now.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Several years now, we've done a bowling event on Saturday, which is always well attended, and then we started adding the Sunday event at the brewery. So those guys and gals that have to work on Saturday, they can come do something family oriented. Sunday brewery, we hang out, provide food.
So the event that I attended is just one time a year.
Yeah, and then we do things throughout the year to try to help membership. And then the biggest thing that we do every year, we've been doing it 40, I think this year will be the 45th or 46th is our annual golf tournament. So, but yeah, that event is once a year, but we do events throughout the year. So, I mean, it just kind of depends on what's going on. And
what shocked me was the amount of officers attending from your agency. Clint's ran an association, I ran an association, and I was overwhelmed with not just – you have officers that show up and get a plate and then leave.
Sure.
Let's call it what it is. But it was – I called him and I was like, man, I am blown away at Mo City and how they – and so he compared it to the atmosphere and the culture at your department, very much like Arlington. He's referenced Arlington with their meetings are very much family-oriented. Right. Their wives, their spouses. Hell, I think even Chris Sabawa said that some parents even come when their kids are working. Mm. So kudos to you guys for doing that. It was pretty cool for me to watch.
Yeah, I mean it took time. You got to they're cops, right? You got to prove to them that hey, this is in your best interest, and but over time they see the things that you do. It's kind of like, oh well, what does my dues do for for me? Yeah. What do the dues do? And we show them that. I mean, we typically it's $100 a year, and you get that back. I mean, if you attend any meetings, events, you're going to get your money back in return. That the dues is not how we survive. It's fundraising, right? And we need you guys to come and understand that this money is your money. Come help us, and then we'll give it back to you.
We also, A-Chief was there. You introduced me. Said, hey, this is Tyler Owen, Tmpa. Because I think you were still a part-time field rep at the time.
Yeah, I think so.
And you introduced me to your A-Chief. And so I walked up and said, hey, hello, sir, Tyler Owen. Very, very. I wanted to let, and this is my supervisor. I want to let him know I was very professional. No alcohol yet. And so he slaps my hand. He was like, what the hell is that? And I was like, oh my God. He said, are you a cop? And I was like, yeah. He's like, fucking huge bear hug, and hugs me real tight. Really? I was like, oh yeah, I'm home.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, anyway, so
yeah, I mean, it
was cool.
Everybody in Missouri City, I love them to death. Like greatest people. Man.
Well, and that's what I'm fixing to segue into next is that we've both have made a difficult decision to. What's great about working for this organization is that I couldn't imagine leaving law enforcement and not being somewhat tied,
sure,
to not having some involvement with the day-to-day activities with cops. And so even though we don't wear a badge and gun every day, even though we're not hitting the streets, I still feel like I'm heavily involved, just as you do, and obviously you do now, that I'm a part of being the voice of Texas law enforcement and living up to that standard of what this organization has maintained for so many years. And so was it hard to walk away from that, of something that you built from the association standpoint, and then also walk away from a long-term career with Mo City?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. You know, it was one of those things, the opportunity arose. You know, I didn't want to pass the opportunity. I mean, like I said, I started as a part-time field rep. You know, all the work that I've done in my local association, I felt like set me up to move into another career. I knew I wanted to do a full career in law enforcement. I didn't know what I wanted to do afterwards. But after being involved in our local for so long and being successful in getting things done, I knew I wanted to be able to do that on a statewide level. I've been a member of Tmpa since I started my career. I just know that Tmpa is the best, and I wanted to be part of that. So, yeah, I mean, is it difficult to walk away? It can be, but I knew it was the right thing to do. You know, talking with my family, my wife, you know, is this what we want to do? And, you know, my wife being super supportive, y'all know my wife, you know, she was like, go for it. This is what you want to do. You're fit for that. That's what you, that's what you focus on. And, you know, it was difficult to walk away from those guys, but I still see them all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked to the president of the association just last night. So I helped those guys with their their meet and confer agreement right now that's going on. So, you know, I'm still connected. And then not only that, but I get to broaden out and not just, you know, affect what happens at Missouri City, but be able to affect what happens across the state. And that's the best to me.
And for full disclosure, Laura is super supportive. He had two options when he retired. It was full-time Tmpa or go back dancing at Chippendales.
I would have done the Chippendales.
And Laura supported both of them.
Yeah.
We were glad he chose us.
Yes.
But Laura supported either one, going back to dancing or.
It was an easy choice for me. So
It's
cold on those stages.
Backtrack 1 minute.
Sure.
You mentioned civil service was Mo City POA was started for the sole purpose of getting civil service. You spent a vast majority of your career there without it, but you had a huge win prior to retiring. Talk about how that referendum, how that came about in Trip Falls, what you learned, and what that looked like, achieving 143 civil service for Missouri City.
Yeah. So, you know, I was off the board at the time. Had our current president, Mike Zimmer, came to me and said, hey, you know, I'm thinking about running for president. I want you to be my vice president. And I was like, you know, I mean, I don't know if I have the time. I think I was in patrol at the time. I can't remember for sure. I think it was around 2017. It was 2017. I was dealing with Harvey because my house had flooded during Harvey. So I was dealing with all that. And he's like, man, I need your expertise. You know it, you breathe it, you lived it. I need you back on the board.
You're a patrol sergeant at the time?
I was patrol sergeant at the time, yeah. And I said, okay. I said, I will join. I will seek election. Of course, I had no opponent. Nobody wanted to be on the board, right?
Wow.
It's pretty easy to get elected.
I won
Yeah.
by default.
I have had contested positions when I was president. I had a couple of guys ran against me, some old school guys. But anyway, yeah, most of the time it's pretty easy to get elected to association board. It's like, hey, can you do it? And we're just going to nominate you during the meeting. Nobody's going to say anything and everybody's going to vote yes. But so, yeah, I agreed. And I told him, I said, look, I will do this, but we are going to seek civil service. Whether we are successful or not, we're going to seek it. This is what this association was set up to do, and we're going to seek it. And he's like, okay, what do we do? And I said, I'll tell you exactly what we're going to do. We're going to call Tmpa, and we're going to get the petition going, and we're going to figure out how many signatures we need. So, yeah, I got with, Tmpa pretty quickly. Ray Wilkinson, shout out to Ray. Love Ray to death. He's, if you know a little bit of history of Missouri City, at one time there was two of us that were Tmpa members, and Ray showed up for me and the other member at the time. So big shout out to Ray. But
Ray's
that was just for coffee.
today.
Yeah, that was just for coffee. That wasn't
I'd show up to meetings. I mean, he was dedicated. I mean,
Still
and
is.
that's what we do. You know, it doesn't matter where you're at. If you're a member, we're going to support you. So, yeah. But ultimately, you know, figured out what we needed to do. Got twice the amount of signatures we needed. I had, you know, people were committed. I mean, it was just a time in the career of officers that were committed to civil service, and made it really easy. We met at the donut shop there on Cartwright.
Heck yeah.
Every Saturday morning, and we hit the streets. I mean, we were collecting signatures all day on Saturdays, and then ultimately turned it in. So we were trying to get on the May ballot, and we all know what happened in 2020. COVID struck. So they moved us to the general election, the 2020 general election, and we had the support of the community. We laid down the groundwork pretty quickly. We had some contested council races, and we had both the opponents supporting us. So, you know, they were fighting each other, but they were supportive of the police. So, and fire, because we did a dual referendum with our fire department. And, ultimately we won that by, I think it was 86% of the vote.
Unheard of.
So, yeah, I mean, we just crushed that. And then we went from that to we wound up doing a meet and confer. So we got with our membership, 90% of our membership, the only reason we missed the 10 is they were off, signed for us to be the sole bargainers. And then ultimately negotiated a contract, first contract ever last year. Just a 1-year deal is all we could get done. And then currently they're attempting to get an extension on that and add a bunch of stuff and trying to get a 3-year deal out of the deal, which right now it's looking good. We have a couple of meetings still coming up, and we'll see what happens. But, I mean, it's been a lot of hard work. It's been a labor of love. I love the work, and you know, it's just a matter of getting the people to buy in and understand the importance of what these things are and how it benefits you as an individual, as you as an officer, and it ultimately benefits the department and the agency.
But just like you said, it does benefit them.
For sure.
But we can't stress this enough. There has to be buy-in on their part, and it's legwork and hard work. Not just from the member side, but also from their entire association to get shit like that done.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
so, but if they're successful, the benefits could be ever changing and lifelong. So, man, I don't know. It's just kudos for you guys. I remember when it first happened, there was a huge email chain went out, text thread like, holy shit, 86% for civil service. So
Huge. Did y'all meet and confer prior, or did y'all have to get that to the voters, or did council approve it without it going to the voters?
Yeah, so in hindsight, we probably should have done a dual referendum and done a collective bargaining and a civil service. But we just did the joint civil service with our fire department. And then what ultimately happened is we fell way, way behind in the market. And we were on the verge of about 30 vacancies in Missouri City. And we wound up getting our membership together, and one, we knew we wanted to meet and confer. We knew that that's probably how we're going to have to go about it. But then we just simply went to the, open meetings, and we took our 3 minutes of fame. And when you start having 5 or 6, 10 members sign up to speak about how, their life is being affected by, the lack of pay and the lack of manpower, things get moving fairly quickly in cities, like, if the police aren't happy, then the citizens aren't happy. So, we wound up circulating the petition through our membership and got the council to approve it, adopt it, and then ultimately was able to get about, I think it was 17.5% increase in pay. And now, there some changes to civil service and allowing for dual lists and being able to have multiple lists going of certified and versus non-certified. And so we were able to get some people hired fairly quickly through some of those changes, and ultimately that big raise that came through right as we were looking at meet and confer. So
one thing that stands out, and it's one of the things I was excited about us getting you on full time, your whole career, when Jay decides he sees an issue or he's going to fix something, you better get out of his way, because it's, and I don't mean that negatively.
That's true.
I wouldn't want to bet against you. Is that a product of your raising, like your parents were an example? Is that something you learned? Have you always been that way? Is that something you just, as you matured, you just realized? Because since the day I met you, that's something I've realized about you, is you're going to do the legwork, you're going to do the homework, and then when you decide something is broke or something could be done better, Katie, bar the freaking door, because we're about to roll, and I wouldn't bet against you on that. Where does that come from?
Yeah, I don't know where it really comes from. You know, my family's always been, you know, hard workers, you know, boots on the ground, blue collar workers. I mean, you know, I've always heard stories. My dad would tell me, you know, I'm sure a lot of it was probably made up, and you know, some of it was probably before, you know, OSHA regulations, but like, you know, working oil rigs in the summer at 14, and you know, all this, you know, hard work. And
Oil field's not for sissies.
No, it's certainly not. So, but you know, I don't know where it came from. I always want to make sure that we're doing it right. If there's a right way to do it, let's go after it. If there's something we can change, if there's something we can make better, if there's a process, I'm all about processes. I don't know where I got it from. Sometimes it can be a detriment, but you know, ultimately it has worked out for me in you know, most cases. But yeah, I don't really know where I got that from or how I came about it, but it is definitely in me. You know, if I can find a way to make things easier for everybody, I'm not really looking for it, you know, to make it easier on me. I'm looking for making it easier on everyone. Like, how can we do this that makes everything so much easier, and you know, and getting it done. Let's get it done.
Well, it resonates huge with me, because I hate all cops. Most all police departments are. Well, we've always done it this way.
I'm definitely not that guy.
Organizations, administrations, old school leaders, we've always done it this way since 1904. Mm-hmm. I can't freaking stand that. And I don't want to just constantly try and rock the house or you know, shake things up. But by God, if there is something better, more efficient, whatever, and man, you have always, that's one thing since we got you part-time, all the way till now, and that's the reason in the role you're in is, man, let's fix it. Even if it's hard work, let's roll sleeves up and take care of it and fix it. And
yeah, I asked the why. Why do we do this? Why are we doing it this way? Can we do it this way? I love the why. Why? Yeah,
yep.
For sure.
And oftentimes it's, well, I don't know, or we've always. And
I get a bad rap for it, though. You're like, oh, the malcontent, and you know. But I mean, it's in my nature. Once people get to know me,
yeah,
they're like, oh, that's just Jay. We're
good.
Let's look into it, because he's not going to leave it alone.
Yeah.
But you know, yeah, I definitely asked the why for sure.
So, we've seen it in training. It's cool. You've come right in, and just stepping in and idling along is always the easy route. And you're a tenured guy. I didn't say old. You're a tenured guy. But as we age, you know, a lot of people are like, well, I'm going to slow down. Sure. And I'm just not going to – I'll roll with 70% effort. And I love that about you too, because you're like, no, I'm not going to choose to idle. I'm going to keep plugging ahead. And you went right from part-time field rep working your tail off to now the Tmpa statewide training coordinator. Dove headfirst, like day one, he's meeting with staff and what can we do. And
yeah, and that's the key. I mean, I don't have all the answers. There's someone in the room that's always smarter than I am. You know, if I can, you know, grab those people and say, hey, look, what makes this easier for you? Mm-hmm. Let's do it. You know, if it doesn't work, we'll scrap it and try something different. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I've always, you know, I love to make that change, and I'm definitely not one to sit back and, you know, sometimes I wouldn't mind doing that. But it's just not in my nature. I can't sit back.
No. And kudos to you, because I think it's hard if you work with cops. getting them to buy into a new program is
for sure.
extremely difficult, and you've seen success out of doing that. So congratulations on that too.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it's just a way. It's the way you bring it to them.
Yeah.
I can recall, early on in Missouri City, we were looking at a new CAD system, and people were like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to figure out how to do this or that."
Cops were complaining. I don't believe that.
But we sat down and said, "Look, how can we best show them that it's going to improve their job, make their job easier?" And we sat down and created a training program to implement it. It was a lot of work on myself and another guy's part. We were, at the PD 48 hours training around the clock, but this is why it's important. This is why this is going to help you. And then you get that buy-in. You're like, oh, yeah, they're bought in.
They're UCR reports and all that shit.
Exactly.
That affects your pay.
No more green screen, people.
Well, no, you said the why is important to you, and you understand to get buy-in. You got to make sure they understand the why too.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not just hey, you're going to do this, and I know it sounds stupid, but you're going to do it. Giving the why gets the buy-in, so they understand it.
And they have to want. They have to want to understand the why.
Yeah,
that's true. And you're not going to get them all.
No,
you're never going to get 100% buy-in.
No.
So what's in store for JMac training coordinator, Texas Tmpa?
Yeah, so really the next item we have is the joint conference. Got some training there at the joint conference. We're going to be doing advanced search and seizure there. And then we have a case study out of Allen PD. And
the mall shooting, right?
A mall shooting, okay. Yep. And then we're going to do, because it's a joint conference this year with FOP, so we're going to do a state and federal kind of law update, not necessarily a update, but kind of what's coming up. We have obviously the federal legislature is always going on. We have a state legislature coming up in a year. So just kind of, update of what Tmpa FOP is looking at. But yeah, I mean, as far as the training, really the focus has been on developing people that can go and train their own officers. So we've been doing a lot of basic instructor, advanced instructor, firearms instructor, background investigation. So it's kind of been a focus on developing trainers across the state that can go back to their own agencies and train their people.
We're updating our brochure. This is what this asshole did. So I sent him a text and I said, "Hey brother, we're updating our brochure. Can you send me the list of TCOL shit? If you've never looked at that, it is like 300 classes. Okay, there's a reason why it's class 3102, 3104. That means there's been 3,100 classes. So I sent Jay a text and I said, "Hey, I'm updating our brochure. What do you want in there to give our members?" And he gets like the hot ones, the instructor class,
those
firearms instructor,
the sexy ones.
The sexy. And then this is what he. And for a complete list, please visit tmpa.org/training. And I was like, thank you for that, sir. I know that. I'm looking for the hot sheet. So anyway.
I mean, you asked what we offer.
No, I didn't.
So
anyway.
tmpa.org/training, man. It's a list of classes.
But we partnered with some immediately, and it's. I think the workings were prior to you coming on, but I think you solidified them and finalized them. You with the help of some field reps, but we partnered with some pretty cool people. Thus far, RDI.
RDI.
We're partnering somewhat to the extent we're not. It's not a partnership, but with TTPOA.
Yeah.
What other organizations have we partnered up with, or going to, or do you see in the near future, other than those?
I mean, I'd like to see, assisting some of those organizations out there that train Texas law enforcement that may not have the ability to provide them the credit. So they're having to partner with other people to provide the training credit that they need to get it in, TCOL reporting. I'd like to be able to bring those, some of those groups in. So Robbery Investigators of Texas, I think they do a phenomenal job of training people. I attended their conference as a field rep last year and was able to sit in on a lot of the sessions, partner with them because they're not a training provider. But being able to partner up with them, providing excellent training, but then it's also a recruiting opportunity, right? So while we're there, hey,
educate the members. Of
educate the
TMPA.
members of why TMPA is where you want to go and where you want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, robbery investigators of Texas, HIT conference, homicide
Yeah.
investigators of Texas, do a phenomenal.
Yeah, we already do
job.
the HIT. I think it's HIT, right?
Yeah.
And then we partnered with the Marshals Association this year.
Not U.S. Mart.
Not U.S. Marshals.
School
no,
Marshals.
School Marshals.
Which, by the way,
Fire Marshals,
while
actually.
Fire Marshal. While I was updating the brochure, for those that don't know, our legal coverage has extended to school marshals and school guardian programs. Just for those that maybe listen that are school guardians or school marshals, we do offer legal services to those out there. So if you have any questions, reach out to us at 1-800-848-2088. We can kind of give you a synopsis of that plan. But, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate it.
We've got somebody else coming up here in the next few weeks that you worked with, and very much looking forward to her episode. So,
Yeah, it's going to be a good
have
one.
you studied for your questions?
The final exam.
I've watched every episode, so
All right.
I already know my answers, so
Here we go.
don't mess it up.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. I've been studying. What's your favorite line from a cop movie or your favorite cop movie? I did it.
Dang.
Boom.
Nice.
Sit in the mirror this morning.
Yeah, so the line that I'm going to go with is from Training Day, and it's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
That's true.
So shout out to Derek Spencer at Missouri City. That's our favorite line when I was in CID. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. So he'd come to me and say, look, this is what I got on this case. I'm going to try to file it. And I'm like, you don't have enough. The DA is going to tell you don't have enough. I'm like, it's not what you know, it's what we can prove. He's like, you're right. So,
All right, Denzel.
shout out to D on that one. Yeah.
What is your favorite cop car? Drum roll.
Yeah, so I actually have two. I came from the era of the Crown Vic. The sheriff's office Crown Vics were way faster than the ones in Missouri City. So I don't know if there's like a different model that sheriff's office can buy, because you have to travel 200 miles in between calls.
Right.
But then as a patrol sergeant, I had a Tahoe that I really enjoyed. So I was able to pack everything that the officer would not have.
Like pillows and blankets.
Well,
and
when the officer calls you to the scene, it's usually not because I need the sergeant to provide wisdom. I need you to provide me the form. Or,
right.
I forgot my print kit or whatever the case may be. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the Crown Vic's a workhorse. It always has been a workhorse. No offense to the Caprice. I'm sure they would have been awesome. I never had the opportunity to drive one, but
You don't have to explain it.
that's cool. I mean,
You guys missed out.
Yeah,
Poor guys.
feel like it listening to you tell us about them.
What's your favorite drink of choice?
Yeah, so bourbon on the rocks. There's a bourbon that's made in my area. It's called Gentle Ben. It's actually a bourbon that's run through a machine called the Gentle Ben, and what it does is it removes impurities, and you lose no volume or no alcohol content.
Oh, wow.
So it was invented by a gentleman that actually he passed away recently, but he's from Pearland. And
Was his name Ben?
No, I think his father is actually the one that invented the Gentle. It's called the Gentle Ben.
It's a Ben. That's why.
No, Ben, Ben, Gentle Ben.
Was his dad named Ben?
I think so.
Okay, all right. I was trying to wrap my head
So
around.
yeah, he invented this contraption called the Gentle Ben, and then now they sell bourbon, vodka, and gin that's run through this system, so it's super smooth.
I'll have to try that.
So is the bourbon I like a dryer. I hate sweet bourbon. Is Gentle Ben like a dryer or a sweeter?
I'm not a sweet person either. It's, I guess if you want to call it drier, but that Gentle Ben process takes that burn, that real harshness out of it, makes it very smooth. So they make
I've
one
never
that's
had every bourbon I've ever chasted. That shit burns.
Yeah, no,
I can't. I can't.
He says it burns going in and coming out.
Yeah, man. I can't. I don't. I envy you guys. No, not Angels envy, but I envy the fact that you guys can drink like bourbon on the road, bourbon. It sounds so masculine, bourbon on the rocks. Yeah, it sounds.
And I don't like it on just a big rock. I like your rocks because I like for it to melt a little.
I realized that in DC because I was ordering on a big rock, and you were like, "No, I don't want on a big rock."
Yeah. So
what's it about that? It melts quicker for you.
The ice just melts and dilutes it a little bit, and just kind of brings out the flavor in the bourbon. So, if you're not drinking Gentle Ben, some of it can be harsh depending on what. If you get in the well, it can be harsh. So, that the ice melts a little quicker, so it dilutes it a little bit, and you can brings out some of the flavors. So
cool.
Oh, when I'm celebrating, I like a little Diet Coke and Crown.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not.
Neat. Is that neat?
I thought you were going to say
Is it
Miller
rocks?
64 when you're
Neat-
celebrating.
neat
You
is
like
just
Miller
in a
64.
glass.
Oh, yeah. On the rocks.
I like Miller 64 neat.
Hey, man, I'm going to bust out that song one day and come out of the old school commercials, the middle of their 60s. Sorry. Anyway, hey, you got anything else?
No, that's it, man. I appreciate y'all having me on. Look forward to the conference. Look forward to, bringing training. If you're interested in, hosting training, Tmpa, our training at tmpa.org. Shoot us an email. We'll work to bring whatever class you want to host. If you identified an issue in your department, you want us to come train, let us know, man. Training at tmpa.org.
Cool.
The advanced search and seizure he mentioned at conference is Anthony Bandiero. It's supposed to be incredible advanced arrest search and seizure. Tmpa FOP Joint Conference, July 26th, 27th, 28th. Hyatt Regency Dallas at the Reunion Tower there. We expect to see every one of you there.
Absolutely.
Just got a question. Do you think I'll ever get to teach arrest, search, and seizure, or is that probably something that y'all just identified that I probably wasn't going to be good at?
Yeah, your TFO experiences.
Yeah, that's probably not a good idea. No.
I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, we're going to leave it that. All right, hey, you guys be safe. Take care. Look forward to seeing you all at conference. I think this about wraps it up again. TMPA.org for the training schedule. As Jay said, we are going to come out with a new brochure of all the courses that we offer. Not a full list because I don't want to be tied up to a computer writing all that information. So, you guys, take care, stay safe. God bless you, and as always, may God bless Texas.